All right, good morning, everybody. This is James Morris's Thursday morning's edition. That means we only have 3 more working days till Monday after today. You're always having to stay busy. If you're a self-employed businessman, you never stop working. Anyway, I've got Rob Lapham calling all the way from St. Joe, the scallop capital of the world. Well, right now they're not because they closed it due to red tide. But anyway, good morning, Rob. How are we doing this morning, sir?
Hey there, Mr. Morris. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I hope you can hear us today. I know sometimes my reception is not real good, but can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you. It is faint,
Okay.
but provided it plays okay on your playback, I don't mind. I mean, it's loud enough for me to hear you, so I'm not concerned. And Anna Marie said I'm coming across strong this morning.
Yes, you are. You are.
At least we're in fairly good shape, I think.
Here's my question. I went to visit my kids the other day, and I went and saw the paper where they live in Daytona Beach, and there must have been 3 pages of critical things about President Trump. How the United Nations is laughing at all this right here, and the more I read that, I got a feeling that there's just everyone seems to hate Trump that's in the media, because I have not quite figured out the reason, unless he just doesn't fit into what a president should be. They say, well, he's not diplomatic. He speaks his mind, and we don't need that. I'm sitting there going, wait a minute. I think that's what we hired this guy for. I think we hired it because we're tired of being told it's raining while our government officials urinate down our back. I don't want to say any words I'm not supposed to say, but that's what it seems like. We get told one thing, and they do just the opposite. And I'm just wondering if this is how you see it coming across, or maybe I'm just the lone maverick seeing it a little differently. But just tell me how you think of what's going on.
Well, you're hardly alone. You're hardly a maverick. Of course, almost all of these reporters and editorial writers went to journalism school, and I use the word school in quotes. And of course, they have all these liberal professors, so they come out of there kind of brainwashed, in my opinion, and they are incapable of looking at things objectively. Certainly, the president, in his opening address yesterday, caused a few chuckles when he said he's done more in 18 months than any other president in history, blah, blah, blah. And a few folks chuckled at that. And he right up, he said, I didn't expect that, and smiled, and he got another laugh. In other words, he was laughing. They were laughing with him the second time rather than against him. And trust the press to go ahead and spin it wrong. But he got his message across on the dais. And we have no excuse for these people who are writing bias, which ought to be limited at least to the editorial pages.
You would think so.
A lot of crap, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So, James, this morning, the big deal is, of course, Dr. What's her name? Forgotten her name now. But
Ford.
Is testifying, and so will Judge Kavanaugh. And the big deal is tomorrow at 9:30, Senator Grassley has scheduled a vote to get this thing out of committee, and presumably it will be out of committee and on the floor. And I heard one report yesterday that said that Senator McConnell plans to bring it up for a floor vote as soon as next Tuesday. I don't know if it can happen that fast, but if it does, more power to him. And frankly, this time next week, I have every hope and expectation, and I pray that Judge Kavanaugh becomes Justice Kavanaugh.
Well, and you may have a point. Now, the critical part about Justice Kavanaugh, or Judge Kavanaugh, that I know is he's no friend of the Fourth Amendment. That's what has been brought to my attention, that he is for the Patriot Act. He is for bigger government. He is he's not for your Fourth Amendment rights for keeping things, your person, properties, or papers being searched by the government. He seems to think that if there's probable cause, throw that out the window. Now, that's what I have been reading, editorials I'm reading about. Other than that, that's about the only criticism I have of that, is he doesn't seem to be a friend of the Fourth Amendment. Have you heard anything like that, or is that just my...
I saw there was one commentator, frankly, it was at least a couple of months ago, so I've forgotten the context. But my understanding is, and it's one of these trade-offs, James, I'm not supporting his position if it's exactly that black and white. But you got to believe that law enforcement doesn't have an issue with it. The trade-off is, does law enforcement have what it needs to take care of the bad guys? And there's no question there is a lot of crap in the Patriot Act in the reaction after 9/11. And the fact is we are less free as a country than we were before 9/11 because of that act. And And the question is, what do you do when law enforcement oversteps their bounds? And I don't have an answer to it. But at the same time, when I look at all of the positions that Judge Kavanaugh takes in terms of his strong, unwavering support for so much of the Constitution, I can't believe we would have a better justice on the bench. So I'm prepared to overlook. And frankly, the issue with the Patriot Act is not with the Supreme Court. It's with the legislature. And so hopefully the bad parts of the Patriot Act will be repealed at some point.
I hope
don't say that as... But anyway, I hope for that.
I hope so, because I mean, how long are we going on? The 17, 18 years of the Patriot Act? Where, people say, "Well, we need that." I said, "Have TSA stopped any of the people, the bad guys?" No, it's been citizens stopping. Who has stopped the bad guys? It's been private citizens that have stopped it. It's not been anyone from the TSA. The shoe bomber was stopped by private citizens. The people in New York City that tried to light the bomb off in Times Square stopped by private citizens and police that were watching what was going on. I mean, for me, it's just another excuse for government to get bigger, because every time I turn around, I go past Panama City down here to 80 Harris. They've turned that school into our city hall now. And I said, that's a wonder. That could be a permanent city hall there with, they got a big auditorium for people to come in there. They got plenty of rooms for different buildings, and it's something they don't have to pay for. Not what, $17 million or $70 million. I don't know how many millions of dollars they're going to be spending on their new city hall. But it just seemed to me like another perfect example of wasting our tax money to feel good. I'm going, I don't want you to feel good. I want you to do your job and go home, but you don't need to be, quote, feeling good about spending my money or our money. That's, to me, buying another building, that we have plenty of buildings out there, it just seems to be a waste of money. But that's just another show altogether. But here's...
Well, they are going to increase our taxes to pay.
Oh, yeah, I know. That's the other thing. It's a modest increase, only $3 per $1,000.
13.
Or what is it? $13?
Yeah, it's going to cost us close to, several $100s more.
And it just makes me just shake my head and go, yeah, they're doing it.
Who was it?
Well, this is Panama.
James and Anna Marie. Who was it who said a little bit here and a little bit there, and pretty soon it adds up to real money?
Calvin Coolidge? Is that who said that? He said
could be. Could very well be. I've forgotten, but.
It does. It's just amazing what I'm seeing out there. But it's the same thing that we see, that I see in automotive repair or bus repair, or what the city does. I talked to the city a few years ago about, they wanted to buy their own equipment to be able to read forensic when a car gets in a crash, the airbag, the black box, to be able to take the black box and be able to read and reconstruct the accident 7 seconds before it happened, to see what was going on. And it takes a lot of training, takes a lot of equipment, and takes a lot of hands-on experience to do this. I went to them and said, hey, look, why don't you just subcontract this out to different shops, or to a shop that you found that can do this for you, instead of going out and buying all this equipment and having to have someone full-time. And and they looked at me like, well, that's a crazy idea. Why do we want to do that? I said, how about support the local businessmen instead of going in competition with the local businesses? And they said, we're not going competition. I said, yes, you are. I said, you're denying me or other facilities the ability to do this. We have the equipment. We bought this equipment. We want to use this equipment. But you're saying, oh, well, we can go buy the same equipment ourselves and be specialized and do this and do that, and that way we know what's right. No, I've seen some of the stuff they say is right, and it's like wrong. I've had them come put computers in cars from the city, bring them to me, and look at it and go, who programmed this thing? And they go, what do you mean? I says, this is not the right program for this car. They programmed it wrong. Well, this is how you do it. And I go, no, it's not how you do it. They don't know what they're doing. So that's just an example of incompetence that I see, because they keep wanting to grow government and take away jobs from businessmen out there. They're in competition. The government's in competition with the private sector. Whether you like it or not, that's a fact. Right now they have their own garbage collection out there. The city has their own garbage collection. But think about it. We've got Waste Pro, which is private. We've got Bay County Collection, whatever they're called. They're private. They're in competition. The government's in competition with private sector, and that's something it doesn't need to be. And and I just
now that's something interesting to look at. We use Waste Pro here in the county of in Gulf County, and let me see, they charge me $55 and some odd cents every 3 months. I don't know how to compare it. It's less than what I paid in Houston years ago, but I don't know. And what do you pay in Parker? And do you know what the
I don't know.
charge is in Panama City?
Okay, I think the garbage, the tipping fee is like $15 or $20.
15 or 20 bucks a month. So you're probably paying about the same amount of money, but I guarantee you the city one it's being done by the city, it's being subsidized by your tax dollars.
Well, like you say, Panama City is the only city in Bay County that I know of that has mandatory garbage. Well, now, does Lynn Haven?
I can't answer
I can't remember if they have their own utility provided by the city, which is not provided, but the citizens pay for it. So that could be, I don't know.
The biggest thing I'm saying is, why does the government go in competition with the private sector? Because it's the private sector that pays the bills. You know, what do you say?
Yeah.
I can't hear you. Because they can. When she won't talk with a microphone, I can't hear her. She says it's because they can go in competition. They want to. But anyway, that's just one of the things that drives me crazy. Yeah. So,
it's disgusting.
Well,
I know you're speaking of refuse collection. The method has changed, at least here in the last 3 months. They put those great big arms on the side of the trucks, and now instead of a two-man team going around, it's one. So there has been significant savings in labor. Hasn't passed on to us in terms of lower rates, but they probably got to pay for the capital cost of the grabber. But you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Same thing here in Panama City. They've done the same thing, but they've turned it where it's supposed to be one guy. They got two guys in it now. I'm like going, that's impressive. You got a one-man machine, but you got two guys in it. I'm impressed. I said, isn't that just the opposite of what you're trying to do? You're trying to keep the labor, because labor rates are the biggest thing in business. That takes away your profits to keep your doors open. It's labor. You pay more money in labor than just about anything out there. You know what it costs to run, and then you've got taxes. And, boy, it costs a lot to run a business. It really does. That's why we talk about it, because people say, well, James, this is a car show. Well, this is the car show that talks about businesses, talks about government, talks about how you get affected by the government that you deserve, because we keep electing the same old, I don't know what to call them. It seems like they promise one thing and deliver just the opposite. That's one of the reasons I like Trump, because he has been delivering on what he's promised, and it upsets the apple cart of the Republicans and it upsets the apple cart of the Democrats. And as far as I'm concerned, you just keep upsetting that apple cart, because it's exactly what I want.
Me too. I can forgive the guy his lack of English finesse. I'm not sure how to describe it, but he is not the most articulate official we've ever had. But by God, he does get things done, and there's no substitute for that.
No,
I mean, Obama was a great orator.
Oh yes,
and a persuasive speaker, but he didn't get anything done. Well, he got the wrong things done. But,
yes, he did.
There's no substitute for Trump, and I dearly hope that he gets a larger base, even in the House of Representatives. Certainly, I hope that he gets more senators. And I got my fingers crossed.
Well, we're gonna find
out that we'll be voting.
We're going to be finding out in just a few weeks what's going on, but I have a feeling that it's going to be a November surprise. Either way, it's going to be a November surprise. All right, on that note, I want to let you go, Rob. Thank you so much for calling. I look forward to hearing from you again next week. And I know we probably don't talk about cars, but these are things that are important to all of us out here, because it affects all of us.
Take care, guys.
All right, you be good. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
If you want the best deal in town for tires, you need to call Baytown Tires at 873-8900.
Hanson and the guys at Baytown Tires take pride in serving Panama City for over 20 years. Baytown Tires on Highway 98 in St. Andrews. All service work backed by a nationwide warranty.
Water is too powerful to fight alone. Mr. Router Plumbing. Sink, shower, and toilet emergency drain services.
Part of what I'd like to let you know is what we do and how we work our system. Basically, we've got about 700 stocking dealers scattered around the 15 counties here in the Big Bend area of the state. I run a fleet of trucks, vans, and what we call hotshot vehicles to deliver to our dealers quickly so they can help service you as fast and efficiently as they can. Provide timely and efficient service, and we're there to take care of our dealers, who in turn can take care of their customers.
Fall is here. Kids are in school. Holidays are around the corner. Time to visit friends and family. Give us a call, 850-763-0555 for your free AAA safety inspection. All right, welcome back to our final segment of our Thursday show. I know that we talked about Trump and we talked about politics the first half, so bear with me on that part. But it does affect my business. I'm glad the economy is doing well. I'm glad I'm able to hire people. I've hired my first person that I hired last month. How long has it been since we've hired a new person? 4 years? All right, because I've got work coming in now, which is great. And this trickle-down effect, I'm happy for that. Now the biggest thing is making sure the taxes don't eat me up and things like that. But that's another show altogether on that part. But running a business is very, very expensive. But also having a car can be very, very expensive. It's not me coming up with this number. So if you want to do some checking, you can figure it out. The average estimated cost to do maintenance on a car that's more than 5 years old averages out, and they say you keep a car, what is it, 12 years now, Anna Marie? 11 years, 12 years, somewhere?
Yeah, I think we're up to average age of a car on the road in the United States is about 12 years
12
now.
years old. And it's around.
And you'll notice that they get older every year.
They're getting older every
Cars actually are built better, and they do last longer.
They last longer, and that's exactly what's happening out there. The cars are lasting longer. They're made better, but you're going to spend around $1,500 a year in maintenance and repair costs to keep this 5-year-old car or older on the road safely.
I actually think that number is up now because of inflation. Yeah, I think you could probably safely say around $2,000 a year.
Okay, well, I've been saying that for years. I've got $1,500, and you're probably right.
Yeah, I think the actual cost of ownership of a vehicle is like, if it's average, is like $9,200 a year. That's
right.
Car payments, insurance, and maintenance.
Now, $9,200 a year, that's car payments, insurance, and things.
And maintenance.
Now, I'm talking about just removing car payments, removing insurance, and you still have to spend around $1,500 a year. Or just say $2,000 a year. So, safely, if you put $150 in a car repair account in your checking account, say a separate checking account, $150 would be enough to take care of car maintenance on your car throughout the year. Would you say that, Anna Marie?
You should be safe with that, as
Okay.
long as you don't have something that's, European or some
Sure.
of the, there are
sure.
occasional problems with particular lines of vehicles, but yeah, as an average, I would say that would be about right.
Well, people that own Saabs and people that own BMWs and Mercedes and some of the higher end cars that require specialized training and equipment, you're going to spend a little bit more for them. Of course, these cars cost a little bit more in the very beginning, but the average price of today's new car is over $35,000. Yeah. $34,000 is the average price. That means we're talking about the high end, we're talking about the lowest end, and come right there to $34,000. A used car is a better investment because as soon as you sign your name on that new car, it loses 20% of its value. Boom, just like that. So you lost 20% as soon as you buy it. So if you buy a car that's even 6 months old, you got a lot of the depreciation is already on there, but they say the best time to buy a car is when it's 5 years old, because at 5 years old, 66%, where they came up with this number, I don't know, of depreciation on the car is over with. So if you've got a $30,000 car, I'm making things easy, so we know by the time the car is 5 years old, the car is worth, the sale on it's less than $12,000. And that's a fact, Jack. And you can sometimes see this around 3 to 4 years old. My Prius, when I bought it, it was 3 years old. And when it was brand new, it was $28,000. I was able to pay cash for it for $11,000. So was that a good deal? I thought it was a great deal. 36,000 miles on the car. I've got 150,000 miles on it. I get between 46 and 51 miles to a gallon, depending on how I drive it and where I drive it. Pretty darn impressive. The biggest maintenance item on this vehicle that is filters, fluids, and tires. Because I tear the road up. I do. I mean, I'm not just promoting Priuses, no, but they're really neat. They really are. Quiet, easy, good handling, safe and dependable on the road. Don't get blown around by wind. Trust me, I've been in high winds, They're a very good car. I think I will always own a hybrid. I'm very, very impressed with how they perform, their ability to be dependable, perform as designed, and they don't require a lot of maintenance. I bet you that's probably, that $1,500 would probably, I don't even think it's that high on a Prius. I really don't think it's that high. And this Prius of mine's a 2004 model, and it's going on, it's got 14 years old, and I bet you I don't spend more than $500 $100 a year on oil changes and tire rotations and things like that. But when you start adding in all the things that go with it, then maybe that $1,500 to $2,000 might be right over a period of time, because I have had to put a new battery in it, and that was $3,000. People say, well, those are so expensive. I said, well, what does it cost for a transmission on a car? Oh, $3,000-4,000 easily. What's it cost for an engine? $6,000, $7,000, $8,000. So if a long-term, the deep 600-volt battery needs to be changed, and you pay anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000 for it, because they've come down in price over the years, it's not a bad deal, especially if it's over 100,000 miles on a vehicle.
I would say, yeah, typically these batteries go for 10 years or 100,000 miles. So we've seen them go closer to 200,000 miles on some of these Priuses.
Yes,
so
we
it's
have.
just, it's a relative thing. Like you say, it's part of maintenance.
It's part of maintenance. And that's one of the things I want to let people know about. Maintenance is very, very important. And a lot of people, they poo-poo it. They really do. They go, I don't need to change my oil every 3,000 miles.
And it's the same thing with the batteries. You move it into timing belts. Now, the Prius doesn't have a timing belt, but there's a lot of cars that a timing belt job is $1,000 or more.
Oh, absolutely. I don't know very many timing belt jobs, but if you do it right, when you put the timing belt on, by the time you put the tensioners, you put the adjusters on, the seals, the water pump, all these things on there, do a coolant exchange on it, get everything like it's supposed to be. I've seen $1,500, $2,000 bills on Audis, A4s. We're talking not easy cars to work on. It takes a lot of training, a lot of experience, a lot of patience to put these things together. And if you mess up, you get to buy an engine. Yeah, you put the timing not right, you bend a valve, you can kiss that engine goodbye and all your profits, because you get to fix a car for free. So that's why this business is a little bit more demanding than some businesses, because when people pick up the car, the first thing they notice is whatever's wrong with it. I'm serious. If there was a light on the car when it gets picked up that wasn't known before, they're going to say something about it. So that's why it's so important to have quality control. Too many shops let the customer be the quality control. They do. Not meaning to. They're just so busy or so preoccupied. They don't. Give an example. A car comes in with a body control module. We had one yesterday, came into my shop. Bad body control module. We know it's a bad body control module. We put a new one in, reprogrammed it. Everything's ready. My guy parked it. He said it's ready to go. All right. Has anyone looked at it? Well, no. Someone else, another set of eyes needs to go on it. So I go out there, look at the car, start it up. I got an airbag light on. I hear that in the back. I don't know what that is, Anna Marie. I have no idea. It's not my phone, but I hear something in the background. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's this. I'll turn this off right here. Maybe it went away. Maybe I have something on. I don't know. Probably went away. But my computer, where was it? But on the airbag light came on, and I said, hey, there was an airbag light on. He says, I don't remember it being on. I said, well, let's take a look at it. Sure enough, come to find out, it wasn't configured properly. We needed to add the VIN number to the programming of the vehicle. Now, that's, and if we hadn't have found it, and if we hadn't have seen it and had another set of eyes look at it and spot that airbag light coming on, what would have been the first thing the customer would have thought when he picked his car up and paid his bill and that light's on?
What'd you break?
What'd you break? How come my car didn't have that? What'd you do to my car? So to avoid this problem, with you, the listening audience, watching audience out there, to avoid this problem, go for a ride with the people doing the repair work on your car. Do that. Sit in the passenger seat. That's what I do every time.
That's how you start your service.
That's how we start the service. And we drive it and we we pay attention. What lights are on the dash? And we point that out to the customer. Hey, your airbag light's on, your check engine light's on, and your brake light's on. Yep, they've been on for a long time. Just check, 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 check. Get complete communication with you, with the shop, with the owner, whoever's working on the car. Everybody talk to each other. Everybody be on the same page. And then what happens is when the work's done, that customer expects those lights not to be on if that's what he's paying to get fixed. And if they're on, he wants to know why they're on if he paid to get them off. Because that's not part of the deal was. And if the lights are still on and he paid to get those lights off, he's not going to be happy. So, that's one of the things.
Or if there's different lights on.
Oh, yeah, even because he didn't have an airbag light on, but he sure had on when I started to leave. And I looked at it, I said, no, this car can't leave. And I said, pull it back in here. And that was the amazing thing yesterday. We worked on a couple cars that required different scanners to be able to work on them. We worked on a 94 Corvette that required the newer model Tech 2. Believe it or not, this is a California Edition 94 Corvette that has a Tech 2 that I always thought it was 95 and a half to 96 that had this information in it, but apparently they did this in 94 in California edition Corvettes. So there's some reprogramming issues, there's some computer issues, there's just things that I did not know were a couple years, happened a couple of years newer than I experienced, which is kind of a neat little experience to figure out. I didn't know they did that in 94. I thought they did this in 96 only. But I learned something yesterday. Every day I learn something. But yes, back to the computers. Those all change. But you've got to require different scanners. We had to use one scanner for one part of the car, and another scanner to do another part of the car because it's at different ages. At 94, 95, 96, that's a weird time. It really is. You get different scanners to do. You have the Tech 1 go into the Tech 2. And then you have the same, that's the type scanners, and you have the same thing when you go to the VCI or the newer model General Motors. And sometimes you get split years. We have to use this scanner for this part of it and this scanner for another part of it. And this software from another part of it, from the websites out there. There's a lot more to cars than ever has been, and if you're good with computers and you're good with programming and you're good, I tell you what, that's almost a full-time job here. It seems like it used to be we didn't do that much programming at all 10 years ago, and now it seems like every day we're doing one or two cars have to be programmed. And I do not understand how shops can keep their doors open. They can't program because they always end up turning the work down or sending the work to another shop to be repaired or sending it to a dealership to have them to do the work because they can't program it. You have to marry these parts together. Body control modules, ECM, central control modules. All these modules have to be, quote, married. If they're not married, where they had the right VIN number in the car and all this right here, I said, nope, not going to work. Because they want to know exactly by putting the VIN number in, it tells it all the things this car has. The weight of the car, the type brakes the car has, all these different things. That way if there's a wreck, or if there's a wreck in the body control module, in the air, then it sends all this information to the body control module, which goes into what we call the black box. All that information for the airbags and for the seat belts, all this stuff goes in this black box, and it's a constant loop recording that's telling what's happening 7 seconds before the airbags deploy. That's how that works. And all that's going together and it's a constant endless loop of writing and rewriting, writing and rewriting, writing and rewriting. And then when there's a wreck and the airbags deploy, it stops and it's able to see how fast you were going, where your foot was on the gas, where you were on the brake, what was going on before the airbags deployed. That's a black box. If you got airbags, that's a black box. And that's how that works. And all this works together. And it takes a lot of training and takes a lot of reading. Okay, we're trying to get this to do that. Why is it not doing this? And you have to go to websites and figure out what other shops have done, but that's how I figured out the problem yesterday. I went to we have a B1001 mismatch. Okay, I typed in there, I have a mismatch. And went to Identifix and it said, redo the VIN number. And I said, okay, you should have done the VIN number first. Went to it, looked at it, it didn't have the VIN number in it. Had to put the VIN number. How it did not get the VIN number in there, and we were able to program the body control module without the VIN number was amazing. I didn't think you could do that. But we did. We programmed it, but it was programmed without the VIN number, so it had no idea when the airbag was going to go off, due to the fact it didn't know the weight of the car, the type brakes of the car, all these different things, type engine, transmission, all that. And once we put it in there, the light went away. Hey, this is James Morris. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being a part of the show. We'll see you tomorrow morning. I have Handsome Hanson Hindenburg from Baytown Tires